What's up, YouTube? This is Bystander X79 representing Team FTK. Guys, today I'm going to do my last deck profile video for the July 2020 format. And today, guys, we'll be looking at my updated Blue Eyes deck. For those of you who are new to me on this channel, Blue Eyes is one of my all-time favorite monsters in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I've always had a deck built around Blue Eyes, whether it be for traditional format, casual play, or competitive play. To be very honest, this deck is very versatile in the ability to be able to play in so many different formats. This particular build is much more of a take on a bit more of a modern classic build. The way I would put it, it's simple, it's clean, it gets the job done, and it's great and it's pretty fun to play with. More competitive builds might run the Dangers for rank 8 players or the Guard Dragons to spam out the extra decks. This deck doesn't do any of that. Pretty basic Blue Eyes plays to get your big monsters on the board, hit your opponent hard, and ultimately overpower your opponent in the long run. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into this deck. And let's start off with the monsters as always. 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. This is pretty much an unwritten and unspoken rule among Yu-Gi-Oh players, in which if you're going to be running a Blue Eyes White Dragon, there better be 3 copies of the OG Blue Eyes White Dragon in your deck. Anything less, you're not running Blue Eyes. Level 8, 3,000 attack point body. It's an amazing beast stick, and I've had multiple situations where I basically were able to blast my opponent through my opponent's field and swing for game using the OG Blue Eyes right here, and it just works. I just can't tell you how much I just enjoy playing with this deck. Next up, we got 3 copies of Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon, excuse me. Special summon this guy from your hand by flashing a OG Blue Eyes. Got an on-field effect where you can target one of your opponent's monsters, pop it, but it can't attack for the rest of the turn. Typically, what you're going to do is special summon and pop the monster, and then go into a rank 8 play, or synchro play from there to be able to do other things. But still, it is level 8 and 3k body, so you can do some serious damage with it. Next up is 1 copy of Dragon Spirit of White. You can toggle the ratios of alternative to Spirit, maybe to 2 and 2 if you want to, if you see a lot more back row heavy decks in your particular metagame. 1 right now is pretty much all you really need. On summon, it banishes any spell and trap card your opponent has in the field, whether it be face up or face down. Very useful. It also has another effect. If your opponent still has a monster on the field, you can tribute this card off, special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand right to the field, and you get an additional attack off of that Blue Eyes White Dragon. Very awesome. It can help get you through difficult boards and just be able to overpower your opponent in the long run. So definitely worth having in your deck. Some generic dragon support. We got Red Eyes Darkness Smell Dragon, as well as Ame Dragon Brotor. Ame Dragon Brotor, on summon you can target any other dragon type monster you have in the field. Target it, and then you can search for a dragon type monster that has the same attribute. In this particular case, Brotor can target itself. You can search for yourself for the Red Eyes Darkness Smell Dragon. This is the new errata version, which basically means you only are allowed to special summon it once per turn. But even though that's the case, you still can extend by special summoning monsters from your hand or back from your graveyard. So it does get the job done, even though you can only special summon it once per turn now. And last for the big dragon type monsters, we got Archbrave Dragon and a Morphage Goliath. It's a pretty standard common for most Blue Eyes decks. Basically, you get both Archbrave and Goliath into the graveyard during the same turn, and then during your opponent's next standby phase, you activate Archbrave's effect to special summon Goliath onto your field. Goliath, when it hits the field, basically locks down special summons from the extra deck, so your opponent loses that resource and cannot basically play if they need to go into the extra deck. Very harsh. I mean, there is another way to get this card on the field, but this in my opinion is the preferred way to do it, because at least you can get this card on the field with its full attack power of 2750. Archbrave Dragon is no such by itself as a special summon from the graveyard. You can actually get rid of your opponent's back row, and it gains attack equal to the number of cards it banishes through that its own effect. So yeah, keep that in mind, especially against your back row heavy decks. For some other Blue Eyes shenanigans, of course, we got the stones, 3 copies of Ancient, 1 copy of Legends. The typical ratio I love to go with my Blue Eyes decks. It works very well. Ancients, if it leaves the field during an end phase, you special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your deck to the field, which is awesome. It also has the ability to banish itself and recur a Blue Eyes monster from your graveyard back to your hand. So just in case you have an alternative you need to summon onto your field, you can always bounce back the OG Blue Eyes to your hand to be able to get that alternative onto the field. Legend, whenever it's sent to the graveyard, doesn't matter how it hits the graveyard, as long as it hits the graveyard, you're searching your deck for the OG Blue Eyes White Dragon. Plain and simple, very easy to understand. And of course, to round out the monsters, we have the level 1 spellcasters. We got 3 copies of Sage with Eyes of Blue, as well as 2 copies of Effect Valor. All the level 1 light attribute tuners, the 4 stones, as well as the 2 Valors, are searchable off of Sage's normal summon, which is awesome. Sage also has an awesome hand trap-esque effect where you can target a effect monster you control, discard Sage, and then the monster you targeted goes to the graveyard, and you can special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your deck to the field. It's an amazing starter combo, and if you target Ancients, you're getting an additional level 8 monster on your field during the end of the turn, which is just amazing, and it just helps this deck get going, so it's so worth it. Onto the spells. We got 2 copies of Bingo Machine Go. Bingo Machine Go allows you to take 3 cards that are either Blue Eyes monsters or cards within the text that specifically mention Blue Eyes White Dragon or Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Reveal them to your opponent. Your opponent randomly selects one of them to add to your hand, and the others are shuffled back into your deck. Typically, if you choose the 3 of the same monster, you're going to be getting, or 3 of the same card, you're going to be getting that card in your hand regardless. It's a great card, and it works insanely well in this particular build. So definitely give this card a try. We got 1 copy of Dragon Ravine. Technically, we do have a 2nd copy with Romulus in the extra deck. What this card does, it basically helps get your play started. Discard a card from your hand, send a Dragon type monster from your deck to your graveyard. So essentially, it's kind of like a field spell version of Dragon Shrine. And speaking of Dragon Shrine, we are running 2 copies of it, as well as 1 copy of Foolish Burial. These are pretty much self-explanatory. Foolish Burial sends any monster from your deck to your graveyard. Dragon Shrine is basically the dragon version of Foolish Burial, except if you send a normal monster, Dragon type monster, to your graveyard, you can send an additional Dragon type monster from your deck to the graveyard as well. Typically, I usually send Dragon Spirit of the White to the graveyard, and allows me to send Whitestone Ancients alongside of it, just to thin out the deck by 2 cards, and it just works insanely well. And that's why we have those in there at that ratio. Monster Reborn, pretty self-explanatory in every deck, brings back monsters from the graveyard, allows you to extend 1 for 1. This is the card that allows you to basically get into your Brotor. Very awesome. Brotor searches out your Darkness Metal Dragon, and from there you can extend. You can also use it for any of the level 1 monsters that you need to get out. 3 copies of Return of the Dragon Lord. Amazing Monster Reborn for your level 8 or level 7 Dragon type monsters in the graveyard. And that also offers protection to those monsters. If your monsters would be Dragon type monsters would be destroyed by battle, a card effect is banish it from the graveyard, and you keep your field. 1 copy of Silver Scry. It is a quick play spell. Monster Reborn brings back a normal type Dragon type monster back onto your field. Very useful, and since it's quick play, you can actually do it on your opponent's turn. So if they're counting on having one particular spell or trap to get them through this turn, summon White Dragon Spirit of White, banish that card, and basically break their spirit in their hopes. 3 copies of the Melody of the Awakening Dragon. Pitch a card to basically search any 2 level 8 Dragon type monsters that have 2,500 or less defense and 3,000 or more attack, and add them to your hand. Very standard in a lot of the Blue Eyes builds. And for a little additional draw power, 3 copies of Trade-In, pitch a level 8 monster, draw 2. And then last but not least, we actually are running back row in this deck, and we have 2 copies of Ultimate Creature of Destruction. Allows you to target a Blue Eyes monster on the field. That monster can't be destroyed by battle or card effects for the turn. Also, if it battles one of your opponent's monsters, your opponent's monster is destroyed at the end of the battle phase, which is actually pretty awesome. If you manage to special summon a normal dragon type monster to your field, you can actually reset this card back to your field, but it is banished when it leaves the field, so you get that little extra protection on board, and you can do a lot of different things to break your opponent's board with this card. So that's it for the main deck. On to the extra. 1 copy of Azurai Silver Dragon. Whenever this card is special summoned in an extra deck, it protects all your dragon monsters from being destroyed by card effects for the rest of that turn. Very awesome. During the standby phase of your turns, you can actually special summon a normal dragon type monster from your graveyard back to your field, so you can just extend or just get that extra level of additional damage on board, or even clear out back row if you're going for Dragon Spirit of White. We're also running 2 copies of the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. It has 3 very awesome effects. 1 prevents monsters from activating their effects in the graveyard, which is very awesome. Second's been seeing a bit of an uptick in play with the inclusion of Dragma now, and just being able to block that, they won't be able to search out any other Dragma or even the hand traps for their deck, which can be very problematic. This card, while face up on the field, prevents your opponent from special summoning more than 1 monster at a time, so it blocks pendulum summons or even those machine duplication plays in Cyber Dragon decks. And last but not least, it also has a quick play effect where it can tribute itself and special summon out a light attribute dragon type synchro monster, whether it be Azorai's Silver Dragon or the level 8 Stardust Spark Dragon. Now, the downside is that those monsters are typically destroyed during the end phase of the turn they're summoned off of Blue Eye Spirit Dragon's effect. However, Azorai's does have the protection effect that does protect itself, and Spark Dragon also has a protection effect that can protect itself as well. So you don't have to worry about losing your resources at all. And Spark Dragon is also a level 8, so if you want to go into rank 8 plays, it's there for you as a body as well. But typically what you're going to do here with Spark Dragon on the field is after you tribute off your Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, you're going to summon a level 1 tuner, tune into the level 9 Synchro Monster Cloud Castle, and there Cloud Castle's effect kicks in, allowing you to bring back a Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, which is a level 9 Synchro. From there, you just overlay the 2 and go into True King of All Calamities. I can tell you right now, a lot of players know this play and they hate it so much because Calamity's effect basically allows them to declare an attribute, and then all monsters that attribute basically have their effects negated for the rest of the turn, and it's a lingering effect, so your opponent cannot get through that even if Calamities leaves the field. So that's the primary reason why it's called Calamities, because it causes so many problems for your opponent. For some other rank 8 plays, we got Dingirsu. On summon, you can send a problematic monster from your opponent's side of the field right to the graveyard. Not destroy, just send it. Awesome. Keep it on the field. You can detach materials from it to protect your monsters from being destroyed by battle or card effect, which is actually pretty awesome. You got number 38, Hope Harbinger, Dragon Titanic Galaxy, which can negate spell cards as well as redirect attacks to it. FYI, the spell cards it negates are attached to it as Xyz materials, so you're always going to have that ability to be able to redirect attacks away from your smaller or your weaker monsters to itself. And I am running the Galaxy Eyes package in this. Cypher can swipe a monster, Full Armor Photon can pop a card, and then in Galaxy's Cypher Blade Dragon can also pop an additional card, just allowing you to clear out your opponent's back row and cause problems for your opponent in the long run. For links, a lot of level 1 monsters, so Linkuriboh is a must in this deck. Tribute itself off bottom out one of your opponent's monster's attack, get another level 1 monster on the field. You can tribute off that monster to bring out Linkuriboh and utilize his effect again. So very, very useful. Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. This is an alternative way of getting Goliath out of the deck. Basically, you use 2 Dragon monsters to summon it, and then you can target it, this card, tribute it, and since it tributes itself, you can special summon any Dragon type monster to your field. Its attack and defense are bottom out to 0, which is the primary reason why I prefer the Archbrave method to bring out Goliath, because it makes Goliath a little bit too easy to get over. Typically, I'm going more for Brotor, so I can get Brotor search for Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. So any 2 dragons can form Romulus. Romulus on some Link Summon will get you your Dragon Ravine. From there, you're just going to be thinning out your deck. And last but not least, any 2 light monsters gives you Hip Hoshikin. Hip Hoshikin can power boost all your light attribute monsters by 500. It reduces their attack of dark attribute monsters by 500 as well, but a lot of times you're going to be keeping your dark attribute monsters in defense position anyway. So, and if this card is ever destroyed by battle or card effects, you're getting a light attribute monster back from your graveyard and adding it to your hand. So it does make for a very useful card in this deck overall. Guys, that is it for my Blue Eyes White Dragon deck profile for the July 2020 format. As always, guys, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this on this channel or on my own channel, subscribe here as well as to my channel. The link is going to be down in the description box below, as well as the other members of Team FTK who post here on the channel. We all work hard putting content on our channels, and we would love to have your support as well. Enable notifications. If you guys want to support this channel in ways besides subscribing and notifying, we are PayPal powered. Use the link in the description box below. Make a donation to the team. We use those donations to get better cards, better equipment, to bring you better content. If PayPal isn't an option for you, we are partnered with Inked Gaming. Use the promo code TeamFTK10 to get 10% off any of your purchases at inkedgaming.com. They have some pretty awesome gaming supplies like custom game mats you see right here. So please give them a check out and use that promo code. And as always, guys, until next time, peace.